The Long Walk, a novel by Stephen King, is about a future dystopian society that gathers 100 young boys and forces them to walk until they can no longer keep up. Failure to maintain pace doesn't just result in disqualification. Something much, much worse happens. The book was published in 1979, however 9 years ago in Sweden, a group decided to turn the Long Walk into an actual event. Today we're going to learn about Fotrally, the death march that is a sport, coming up right after this. First, we are going to compare the scenario laid out in the book to the modern event and their key differences. Then we will examine the distances covered in both the novel and in reality and other historic death marches to find out the limits of human endurance and what the price of such behavior really is. Stephen King's accuracy will be put to the test, and for those of you who have not read the book, fear not, there will be no spoilers. As I stated before, 100 boys are gathered in an annual government-administered contest which is cheered on by spectators. Each boy must maintain a pace of 4 miles an hour, and if the walker falls below the pace for 30 seconds, he is given a verbal warning. After 3 warnings, the walker receives a ticket. At first you don't know what this is, but soon you learn that a ticket means being shot dead on the spot by one of the soldiers riding alongside the walkers in a half-track. Serious violations such as leaving the road or attacking the soldiers result in an immediate ticket. Walkers can receive warnings for obstruction or other minor violations. A walker clears a warning for every hour that he stays above the minimum speed. The race starts at the Maine Canada border at 9 a.m. on May 1st and heads south down the east coast until a winner is determined. There is no finish line. There are no stops. There are no rests. There are no delays due to weather. It only stops when there is one walker left. Walkers can only receive aid from the soldiers and are given canteens at any time they request, and rations are distributed at 9 in the morning. Walkers may bring anything they can carry, including food or clothing, but cannot receive aid from bystanders. Though not permitted to interfere with other walkers, they may help each other. The winner receives the prize, anything he wants for the rest of his life, which sounds like a fair trade, I guess. Now let's look at the Swedish event that started in 2009. The competition was conceived by 3 Swedes whose names I cannot pronounce, and the concept was taken directly from the novel. The sport walk has the same basic premise, however the walkers are asked to maintain a pace of 5 kilometers per hour or 3.1 mph, slightly lower than the novel. There is a leader vehicle that maintains that pace and an end vehicle, which once a walker passes that, they are given their ticket, which doesn't mean being shot to death on the road. It probably means walking back to your reliable sob and going home after your nice midsummer stroll. A huge difference is that in Fotrally, rolling toilets are provided for the participants and each walker is given 24 minutes a day to do their business or rest. In the novel, there is no clear outline in the rules for going to the bathroom, though there are references made to excrement littering the road. It's assumed the walkers just keep walking. In Fotrally, walkers are responsible for their own food and equipment and can receive help every 6 hours from designated support areas. So clearly the Swedish version is not nearly as dire and dystopian as the Long Walk, as it is similar to that of an all-night dance contest where you can win a $100 gift certificate to the Piggly Wiggly. The prize for winning Fotrally obviously is not everything you could want for the rest of your life. I am assuming it's a small trophy, bragging rights, and much needed rest. Over the last 9 years, the event has grown from only 2 participants in the first race to a peak of 327 walkers in 2017. In the book, the walkers make it from Maine to Massachusetts, and the walk finally ends sometime on the 5th day. Since we don't know the exact town in Maine where the race starts and what precise route is taken and what time of day the race ends, we have to estimate their distance traveled, which is likely over 400 miles. My best guess is that the walk starts in Holton, Maine, and ends around Newbury, Massachusetts. In Fotrally, the current record for distance is 439.2 kilometers, which is 273 miles, done in 87 hours and 48 minutes, or just over 3.5 days by Richard Anderson, a name I can pronounce. In the first race, the participants only made it 49 kilometers or 30 miles, and it lasted 9 hours 45 minutes. There have been 0 fatalities so far in Fotrally. So when you compare a voluntary walk to the one in the novel, even at the slower pace, King's Walk is significantly longer, about 110 extra miles. I guess if your life is on the line, you could go a bit further, don't you think?
Never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line!
Though the novel is fictitious, the 400-mile figure is certainly plausible, especially with death as a factor. In Fotrally, the winners can be seen exhausted and obviously spent, but it doesn't seem that there are any serious conditions that need to be addressed after the race, other than cramping and exhaustion. In the novel, many of the walkers simply collapse or even voluntarily receive tickets. When we look at historical death marches, the cruelty in some cases far outweighs the distances. The infamous Bataan Death March was only 63 total miles. However, the American soldiers forced to walk received no food or water, were exposed to extreme heat, and were brutalized in unimaginable ways. It's believed over 10,000 soldiers died in the march. The atrocious Trail of Tears covered 2,200 miles and took place over 19 years, when natives were forcibly relocated west. It's estimated over 17,000 Indians died as a result of fatigue, starvation, and sickness, essentially walking the entire distance with minimal food and supplies. Most of the infamous prisoner marches I could find lasted under 200 miles, with the casualty rates being unsurprisingly high, not just from walking, but mostly from the brutality of their captors. Long-distance walks in absence of humane conditions are simply too brutal for humans to survive, which makes you wonder why the Swedes would take what most cultures find as involuntary torture and turn it into a sport. One that looks like an amazing test of endurance, physical and mental strength, and administered in a safe and controlled environment. I guess entertainment comes in many forms. Fotrally will hold its 11th race next year. I'm 5 Points Vids, and you made it to the end of this video.